Die together.
We die
die
together.
Bad marriage for life.
You know those guys? No, I'm not talking about Jada and Will, your BFFs. Present you with the narcissist and the empath.
Jada and Will's marriage is a cautionary tale. It teaches us to be aware of deceptive language.
I feel like I know more about their marriage than I know about my own damn marriage.
Let's be clear. I am not saying that Jada Pinkett Smith is a narcissist. I am not saying that Will Smith is an empath. I am saying they play damn good ones on the world stage. I'm an acting teacher. I've been teaching the craft of acting for 10 years, helping people to not only become better actors and artists, but in learning about human behavior where you can get snagged along the way from manifesting your dreams. So I also incorporate meditation, which I'm gonna need a lot of after this. I'm not afraid. I'm doing it. I'm going in. Spirit is calling me in. So what we're going to do today is maybe a little different than what we've done in the past. I'm going to treat this as if it's a class. It's an acting class, okay? And your BFFs, Jada and Will, are in this acting class. And now what their performance is the performance, the play, the narcissist and the empath, which they're premiering on the world stage right now, right? This is a good show. And I couldn't resist giving you these examples. Now, I know we've seen so much of this. My intention today is to string together some examples so you really see what a narcissistic relationship looks like. Maybe you've been connecting these dots yourself. Please let me know in the comments. I'm just talking about behavior. I'm looking at their behavior alone. This is nothing different than what I would do with any one of my students inside an acting class. We all look at our behavior and we all have different things that sometimes we're not proud of. The one thing that I'm really into is the fact that her book title is Worthy, because that is the root problem for so many of us. Whether you're a narcissist, an empath, an human being on the planet, feeling worthy is something that we can all relate to. And believe it or not, the narcissist and the empath both struggle with this. They just go about getting their needs met in different ways. And in many ways, I feel bad for the narcissist, but that's because I'm an empath. But I feel bad for them because this was born out of childhood trauma. But so was the empath. We can bring some awareness to it. So at least if you're gonna enter a relationship like this, you can really see the other person for who they are and see you for who you are. Okay, let's get into it.
So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
Yes.
y'all have been, was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives. It was
Completely separate lives, she says. And yet, many people who've shown dates and things don't add up. Now, again, I'm not here to gossip. I don't want to gossip. You ain't heard it from me. I'm just trying to show examples in the real world of what a narcissistic relationship can look like. And they're providing great examples. Okay, I'm going to let you finish.
not a divorce on paper,
Right.
but it was
It's a permission slip to date your son's friends, I guess. I mean, that's how narcissists see things anyway. Again, I ain't talking about Jada. You ain't heard it from me. I'm just saying that's how narcissists operate. Oh, and if you look at all these videos, then you can see that Will Smith was tired. He even says, I was tired of your ass. He was tired at that point. And they both have said that they were just tired of trying because he has said he didn't know if she could ever be happy. So what does she do to try to be happy? Go get new supply. Again, that's just what a narcissist does, right? Instead of turning within. And she does have some self-awareness about that later, which is good.
A divorce.
Okay, so we all saw this, right? You saw the Today Show. I mean, most people have seen this. If you haven't seen it, you can go back and look for behavior standpoint so you can learn about yourself, and we can all meditate later together, right? I'll link a meditation in here, as a matter of fact, because we have to do some healing. It's painful. This stuff is really painful. So one day she's on the Today Show with Hoda talking about, we were divorced, we haven't been together in 7 years, the whole bit, right? It's like 2 days later or something, 3 hours later. She's like, what? No, divorce? Who? And then begins to gaslight Hoda. And if you watch the entire thing, you'll notice how Hoda even is beginning to try to people please and walk on eggshells.
Or there might not be a divorce in theory anymore?
Yeah, no, we really have been working hard.
Oh, that's lovely. Working hard. I mean, that sounds romantic, right? Like Jada doesn't say, no, we're really together. No, this was a big misunderstanding. I was saying that, for 7 years, things weren't working out, but now we're really together. She still doesn't exactly say that. See, she's always moving the mark so that later, if something happens, she can say, no, I didn't say together. I didn't say married. I didn't say, she can control the narrative, and she is. She's even teaching Hoda, as you'll see, how to describe this very confusing situation. That's what she wants you to be, confused. She's done a great job. Excellent.
So wait, just so I'm 100% clear, you were divorced, not on paper, but now we might be at a point where we're back together.
We are working very hard at bringing our relationship together.
Do you see what I'm saying? See how she's changing it and moving the mark all the time?
To a marriage again.
Back to a life partnership. Yes, because here's the thing about
Tell me.
husband-wife marriage for me, my healing process.
Now she'll explain narcissistic idealization beautifully.
I came into that with very specific ideas.
A narc always has very specific ideas.
Right? Very specific ideas that were blocks to me just seeing Will as who he is.
Yeah.
Your narcissinish block is what is in the way. A big old face mask over your eyeballs.
It can't be this perfect idealized husband.
Of course, he can't be your perfect ideal husband. He's only like a millionaire and super mega celebrity. Of course, that's not good enough. See, for a narcissist, it's never good enough. They may want to be with you for the clout, and yeah, she's an actress, she has a show, she has all these different things. But especially at the time when she wasn't as famous as Will Smith, he's more famous. She's even made jokes that it would cost him too much money to divorce her, and that it would be a pain in the butt to like divvy up their assets and stuff, right? So she's mentioned these things before. Oh, wait, she gets super saintly here. Watch this.
Yes, of course.
I have to be able to accept him for the human that he is. He accepts me for the human that I am.
Now, that would be true if they were both like admitting the roles that they're playing. If Will Smith's like, I'm the empath, and Narky was like, I'm the narcissist, right? That would be a truthful statement then, because then they really are seeing the roles, at least the roles in which they're playing. I mean, a real amazing thing would be is if they're just like, oh my gosh, we've been watching all this footage and we realized these are the roles that we've been playing, but that's not who we are. That would be some real deep work, right? But I don't think we're going to see that. That would sell some books.
He accepts me for the human that I am, and we want to love each other there.
Okay,
So back the F off, Hoda, with your cognitive dissonance. Geez, stay with it. Stay with it. I'm moving the bar all the time. Come on, stay with me. I'll control this thing, okay? I'll control this. You got that?
not a divorce on paper,
Right.
but it was a divorce.
I'm telling you, The Narcissist and the Empath, a must-see date night thriller. How to be held captive forever in a trauma bond. It's going to be so cozy to watch this holiday season. See, she is controlling everything. No, you can never get divorced. Now she's saying never. Was she planning on having an entanglement? And now she's just not planning on it? So when do we decide that?
If you find another great love, or if Will finds another great love.
There's no finding another great love, and I think that's the point.
Will is trapped for life. You got that? And even if I don't want him, no one else can. Mm-mm.
You know, if you expect to be with somebody for a lifetime.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
Now watch how sad Will is. And she doesn't even get that. See, and this is how an empath can make jokes and light of the situation and have fun with the narcissist, because that's the only time often that they really connect with you as an empath, is if you're entertaining, if you're performing, if you're making light of everything.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened.
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
She gets very cold. She gets very distant and defensive. That's what she learned as a child. And then he steps in like the good empath and tries to make jokes and make it comfortable.
An entanglement?
Yes. It was
A relationship.
a relationship, absolutely. I was in a lot of pain, and I was very broken.
And there was her apology, ladies and gentlemen. Wasn't that sweet?
We actually became really, really good friends.
Yes, girl, we know. So how is this dynamic formed? Why does an empath stay? Because I've seen so many stories now bashing Will Smith and saying, well, he's not a victim and he's participating. And that's true. I agree with that. But this is a tough cycle to break. It's possible though. And that's why I want to share this, not to gossip, not to bash, not to say that I'm like better than anybody. I'm just noticing this behavior. And I can relate to Will in that empathic, trying to people please manner. He's going to explain now really the answer to that question about how. That's not the question in the interview. But the question I'm posing right now is, how does this happen? And his answer in this interview is going to explain that.
My father was abusive with my mother. And
there it is, the root dynamic. This is how it starts. This is how it starts for the narcissist and for the empath. And that's why it's so sad. And that's why they have that worthiness component in common, right? Because they both don't feel worthy. And in a weird way, you complement the narcissist as the empath, and the narcissist complements the empath, because you're trying to fix that childhood, right? You're trying to go back and fix that. So you attract the same type of dynamics to try to make it better.
And I watched my father beat up my mother, and I was too scared to do anything.
See, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. That is how an empath is often born. That is also how a narcissist can be born. So you have a choice point there in that trauma. If you don't want to feel the trauma, then you often shut down and become like a narcissist. If you're trying to heal the trauma, but from a people-pleasing standpoint, you become the empath. And often empaths, I've said before in many videos, are entertainers. This is where all the rivers meet into the ocean, right? Because on this channel, you'll notice some people won't understand, but I think you will because you're very smart. And if you've made it through this video so far, I think you're highly intelligent because you're interested in human behavior. And so you understand where a lot of narcissism can run through artists, and in particular, actors. And since I'm an acting coach, I would find that that would trample them oftentimes. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter. See, sometimes people want to paint empaths out to be these weak, worthless people because that's what the narcissists are so good at in the defamation and the deval stages, right? The devalue and discard. And they defame you. Through this process, Will Smith's reputation has been tarnished. A lot of people just think he's a total wimp. But this is how that dynamic started. So it's really hard to break out of, but you can, but you have to become aware of it. A lot of stand-up comics, a lot of really funny people have admitted to putting on a show to make things more comfortable as a way to protect themselves often when they were a kid, because maybe they did have an abusive father like Will Smith. And so often a lot of entertainers are born that way to try to like make it better. And so they even call it like sad mom syndrome. Like a lot of comics say it's sad mom syndrome because they were just trying to make their mom smile. I know I can relate to trying to people please in that way. You know, people would make fun of me and I would chime in just to make people laugh out of a really uncomfortable situation, even if it was at my own expense. I felt like it was a superpower if I could get people to laugh, because then at least we could connect. And a lot of empathic people have experienced this. If you've experienced this, please let me know in the comments. And, you know, not to play psychologist again here, I'm just looking at human behavior in this world play. Right? And Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have put themselves up there, and I think that it's an opportunity for us to heal. If it's not to heal, then what's the point, right? And I think both of them are interested in that on some level or another. See, I think because he witnessed his mom being abused at a very young age and he felt helpless and felt bad for not defending her, that was all built up, right? See, and a narcissist will use your insecurities against you. So I'm sure he'd probably shared that with Jada at some point. And so from my perspective, and I didn't even know this whole backstory, and it was my first instinct when I first saw that Academy Award thing, that somehow it was reactive abuse because it was so out of his character. So I could totally see from being a victim of reactive abuse in the past, I could totally see her antagonizing him maybe before the show. Like, you never defend me. You know, it's no wonder why you never defended your mom. And I always want a man that defends me. And, you know, she liked Tupac and all this stuff, and maybe even triangulates him with Tupac, like right before the Academy Awards, triangulates him with Chris Rock. I could just see that type of behavior. And again, Jada, I'm sure you're not going to ever see this, but if you ever did, I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'm saying this is what it looks like. This is the behavior of a narcissist. So maybe you're not. And so maybe you want to correct it because you're like, oh, this is why people think of me this way. When I work with actors, a lot of times people don't know how they behave. They really don't. Oftentimes. I had this one man who came, because a lot of times people come take classes with me, and like I said, it's bigger than just acting. It's about life. It's about what it is to be human. The craft of being human is what acting is. So this man came to me because he wanted to learn more about his behavior, and I specialize in reading it. And he would come all the time, like he was like 6'7", and he would come like all big and puffed up all the time. He's like, I don't know why everyone always thinks I'm so aggressive. And the whole class is like, really? You don't? You don't have any idea? Not even a little? And he's like, no, I don't get it. Everywhere I go, people want to fight me, or they're scared. I don't get it. So really, sometimes people have no idea what their behavior is. And it's hard to look at sometimes. I know for me, I am bizarre. I know that. I can be very abrasive. I can be very masculine. Some people might even say that I look like a narcissist when I'm, you know, really in my masculine as a business owner and things. And I'm not saying only masculine people can own businesses. It's an energy thing, right? So I see myself. I also see myself when I'm cowering down and trying to people please or make fun of myself or edit myself out of the picture. Believe me, I've done a lot of therapy so I can look at these things about myself, but that's the only way that you can actually grow. When somebody insults me and it hurts, I look at like, why does that hurt? There's still love there. No matter who insults you about something physical or some behavior, it only hurts if there's some truth there. So when people are like, oh, Leah, you're so goofy or weird, sometimes it doesn't hurt because I'm like, I've always known that. But sometimes it does hurt because it's an insecurity of mine. So then I go, okay, I got to look at that. Or they make fun of something about how I look, and the only reason it hurts is because there's an insecurity there. Otherwise, if somebody's like, you're a big purple monster, you're like, okay, it means nothing to you. So we all have an opportunity to look at this stuff, okay? Nobody's exempt. This is why I love this stuff. It's fascinating. And this is how we can connect, is through art. This is how this relationship cycle can begin, though. As a child, you learn it. And same with Jada. She learned it, but she learned how to shut down, distance herself, get cold. That's how she took care of herself. And then seek other people. You know, they call it narcissistic supply. But she says, you know, she wanted to feel good. She wanted to feel good through another person, because that's the only way narcissists can feel good, is by getting what by definition they call narcissistic supply.
On my young mind, it became imprinted, you know, it's like, what kind of kid stands there and lets somebody hit their mother and they don't do anything? You know, that became really the core trauma of my childhood, that my personality and my persona became to form around, to be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You know, what was really difficult for me was my father's my hero. My father's the greatest person. That dichotomy breaks a young mind.
So with the Academy Award thing, I could totally, in my mind's eye, see antagonizing him right before. And so then right when Chris Rock says that, all this stuff comes up and he's like already on high because he's nominated, right? So this is also, let's not forget, a special occasion for him. So he's already all over the place. It's not something you do every day. I don't care if you're a celebrity or not. That's a lot of emotion, right? And all of his own trauma from childhood is already coming up because it's a big night. So he's already thinking about all of that. And then this is happening on top of it. And again, maybe that's not what happened at all. But if it is narcissism, which is what it looks like, this is how they can also ruin a special occasion, because nothing is ever special enough. And if you have the spotlight, they have to take it somehow. So again, not saying that's what happened, but from my perspective, that's what happened. So for the people who don't understand this kind of dynamic, this is again how it happens. Because when you learn from a very young age to have this conflicting thing happening where you love and adore this person who is absolutely disrespectful and mean, you learn how to sort of compartmentalize in your own mind that you could love somebody who is abusive in that way. So it makes total sense why he would pick somebody like this as a spouse.
Yeah, Jada absolutely positively wanted to get married and wanted to be married, but on her terms.
Yep, and that's what narcs do. It is all about control from them. So see, she set up the dynamic from the beginning. I want this, I want that, this is how I want it, period. And just notice how cold she is. I mean, these are her apologies to her husband.
I just needed some help. You know.
And the only way he connects with her, the only way she sees him is when they laugh together. So see, this is how things can get brushed under the rug really easily. And then 10, 20, 30 years go by. Your whole life goes by.
Me wanting to help his health, his mental state.
Will's like, yeah, and you don't give a damn about my mental state, do you? But you're just going out helping everybody. Praise the Lord. Heal them. Teach me, preach me.
What do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good.
Okay. Now, I know she doesn't actually blame him right here, but can you feel energetically the blame? Like, I just wanted to feel good. Oh, well, of course. You know, the big birthday bash I threw for you, that was no good. All the laughs I create in our house, our beautiful home, this lavish lifestyle. But of course, no, none of that would be good enough for you. Of course not. So sad.
It had been so long since I felt good.
It's like, that's cool. It's cool. I'm an empath. I'll just try harder. I'll try harder.
And it was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
Yeah.
Amen. Hallelujah. She's out here healing people. She can't even see the pain in his eyes, in her husband's eyes at all. She's sitting there casually, just cross-legged, totally casual, as his heart is bleeding out through his eyeballs. I'm surprised a tear didn't escape. He had that thing on lockdown. That was a hurting man. And then she's sitting here so disconnected to his behavior, talking about she's healing people. Praise the Lord. I have so been there during that discard phase where the other person is exactly like that. So disconnected. And he's just, Will Smith sitting there like, yeah, no, of course. Yeah, forget about me, your husband. It's fine. I'm good.
I think that has a lot to do with my codependency.
And then she tries to play the part of the empath, everybody. That's what that was all about. Oh, I think it's my codependency. Now look, narcissists are codependent. They are. They're codependent to get that supply. They're dependent on other people for that supply source. But they are not codependent like an empath. Right there, she was trying, it's just my feel-good empathy. She hasn't had one bit of empathy. I haven't seen it. I've seen interviews. We could be here all day. I've seen interviews with her kids. Same cold, stone face. Now, it's sad. It is sad. And my heart does go out to her because that must feel terrible to be that disconnected. But maybe she's not a narcissist and there's hope to actually connect to something. Or maybe she is and there's a chance to recognize so you can actually address what's going on. Just ideas.
Had to learn to break in the cycle, just that idea of needing to fix.
Will is just falling apart and she's talking on and on about helping everybody else. And again, this is just classic for narcissists. They will treat their husband, their wife, their kids the worst, but then they're out here helping everybody. They're saints. They're the pastor in the church. They're the leader of the healing center. They're helping everyone. But at home, they're causing that hurt. Yes, Will is participating. Yes, they are both participating. So maybe this sheds some light. Let me know. Have you ever participated at this level of trauma bond?
And being drawn to people that need help, whether it's your health or whether it's your addictions. There's something about that childhood trauma that
childhood trauma, you mean that made you a narcissist and made Will an empath and made you attracted to empaths because they have that childhood trauma that you can prey on? Is that the childhood trauma that you're talking about? Oh wait, it's something. No, something else. Okay.
it can be fixed through fixing people versus fixing me.
Okay, now she finally said something truthful. she realizes she can't fix anybody else. She needs to fix herself. All of us. That's true for all of us. Okay, now watch the stark difference. I'm jumping around with clips here. But now watch the stark difference between the compassion and empathy that Will and Hoda share, right? When he was on a press tour for his book a couple years ago. It's a stark contrast to how an empath does a book tour versus the narcissist book tour.
Get into that space where who you are is good enough, that you don't have to be something different than you to be deserving of being loved.
I'm in therapy right now.
Right?
I'm not paying you, but this is the best therapy ever. This is beautiful. I mean, oh my God, I'm feeling it deep down, really deep down inside.
Even that kind of connecting
Yeah.
is not acceptable, right? You know, so
Look at Hoda, so charmed. He's so charming, though. That's the thing. And in the interview that she had with Jada, she was trying to get them, you know, like, we're chummy. But see, with them, they were far apart, and it was real. It was authentic, because you can feel Will's empathy. When you're with a narcissist, you can feel their lack of empathy. If they do have an empathetic show for you, it's to learn how to manipulate you. That's what it is. They don't really feel it. And energetically, you can feel it. So what do you do if you recognize these signs in somebody that you're dating, or a friend, or somebody? I want you to begin to really trust your own body, your own nervous system. If you feel like you're like on the verge of tears when you're talking to them all the time, like how Will looked at the red table talk, it's your body telling you that energetically this person is dangerous. If you're the narcissist, get some real therapy. So at least maybe you can learn about your own behaviors. If you're the empath, get some real therapy so you can learn about this dynamic. If you choose to be in a relationship like this, hey, more power to you, but know what you're dealing with, because it can be detrimental to your health and well-being and generations to come.
we're on camera, so we have to maintain a certain demeanor versus we can't just connect, right? And we can't just be in a moment. And I recognize that you hurt. You have things you're not allowed to talk about. You have things that you cover up. You have things in your family you would never say out loud.
Yeah.
And that if you could be free from those things, you'd feel better, right? So for me, I can see that. You read the book, you can see that, and it's okay.
So Hoda also went on to share that after, this was a couple years ago, right, with Will's book tour, that his mom was like, you're not a coward, because he shared that he felt like such a coward not protecting her. And Will Smith's mom put his face in her hands and said, you're not a coward. And now here the world is saying again that he's a coward, that he's a wimp. It's so painful. And I can understand why some people think that, because they're like, why is he putting up with this though? This is why I want to share this. Because if I can be one more voice shedding some light on this, we can really understand what this looks like. He's not a wimp. He's somebody who has experienced an entire lifetime of trauma bonds with his dad and then his wife. This is all he's known. And that explains why after this wild press tour and her dragging him through the mud, he would release a statement like this.
Sounds like an emotional blindness. He didn't see you. Is that kind of what it was, that he...
I think, yeah, that's so universal in relationships. He didn't see me and I didn't see him, right?
Yeah.
Here she now gaslights Hoda after whatever, 1 or 2 days after she was like, it's a divorce and we haven't been together and blah, blah, blah. And then she comes back on to do damage control. No, you had it all wrong, right? She, again, blames, because that's what narcissists do. She blames Hoda. No, you got it wrong. And you got it all wrong. And that's what was missing from the interview. And you missed the whole point. We're totally perfect and wonderful now. And then Hoda's like, oh, you're perfect and wonderful now. Okay. Explain. And then she completely, moves the mark all, just like that. See, they knock you off balance.
But now we might be a point where we're back together.
We are working very hard at bringing our relationship together.
Back to a marriage again.
Back to a life partnership. Yes. Because here's the thing about
Tell me.
husband-wife marriage for me, my healing process.
That's probably why she liked Tupac so much, because he didn't put up with her BS, right? He's gangsta. She liked that. Narcissists love the person that won't give them the time of day, that won't be their spouse. They love that. They put that person up on a pedestal. The minute you give attention to the narcissist, the deval begins. I promise you. And then she puts herself up on this virtuous pedestal as if she wouldn't break a promise. She would never break a promise. That's another challenge to Will, to stay in the trauma bond, stay in the trauma bond.
There will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
Y'all have been.
Rose coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me if you could film me.
There, come help us again, please.
I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Don't. No, because she don't listen.
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start rolling. I'm standing in my house. Don't just start rolling.
Please watch us stare at the red table because she's helped us a lot. Can't you tell?
That I didn't have the girth that it was going to take to ride with you through.
I didn't know if you would be willing to find the deep capacity to love me.
If this resonates for you, please subscribe. Please share it with somebody who it could help. And leave a comment down below. If you don't know what to put, just put a meditation emoji, because I'm going to go meditate right now. If you need some meditation after this, to shine some love on everybody, no judgment, right? To shine some love on yourself so that you can actually heal, then watch the meditation video. And if you want to know why the narcissist hates you so much, you can watch this one. If you want to know why they hate the people they date, because they do, you can watch that. All right, how long do I have to hold my fingers like this? Are we done? See you later, Omi. That was a meditation joke. Did it work? No.